Hello everyone, welcome back to Pseudo Sensei. In today's video, we're going to talk about all the different kind of loops we have in Go. So we're going to talk about traditional for loop, for each loop, an infinity loop, while loop, and also some special cases like string loop and map loop. So before we go ahead, I just want to mention that there are no different keywords for different kind of loops in Go. For example, there is no while keyword or there is no for each keyword. It's just we have a for keyword and and different ways to use it. So let's get started with the first one, which is a traditional for loop. So people who are familiar with Java or JavaScript or C++, any C family language, they would know how this traditional for loop works. So first, I'm just gonna go ahead and write the structure for this for loop. So we have the for keyword, then we have an initialization, then we have a condition, and then we have a post loop expression, and all of the work that happens goes inside the curly braces, right? So let's do a simple initialization. The simplest initialization I could do is I equals to 0. You can have any kind of object here. You can initialize it however the way you want. I'm just gonna go ahead with a simple I equals to 0, and I'm gonna write a condition. Let's say I less than length of my new numbers. So before we started, I had already created an array of new numbers and a largest number. So we'll go ahead and see how they help us in this code, right? I'll change this post loop expression with I plus plus, which just means, so what does this construct mean? It means that we are initializing I as 0, and we're checking if the value of I is less than the length of the array, which is I think in this case 9. Yeah. And then after every do something, we are increasing the value of I. So every time do something happens, we increase the value of I, right? So let's go ahead and do a very simple a very simple what should we do? Yeah. So assume that you want to declare a largest number, let's say 7, and you want to make sure that all the numbers in the array are either 7 or less than 7. So what would you do? You'll just write if let's say the number that we picked out, which is my new numbers I, greater than largest number, then my new numbers I equals to largest number, right? So what have we done here? We just checked if the my new number at index I, which is which goes from 0 to the length of my new numbers, if that number is greater than the largest number, we just want to change the value of that number to the largest number, right? And we're gonna do fmt println, and I'm just gonna print the whole array, right? So let's go ahead and do a go build dot and run the module. There we go. So basically what happened here is that we checked the array, we checked the value of each of the index, and till this index, this is the 0th index, so this would be 6th index. So on till the 6th index everything was fine. On the 7th and the 8th index, it figured that the value is greater than the largest declared number, so it went ahead and replaced that number, right? I'm pressing Command J to hide the terminal in VS Code. So this was your basic for loop. This is what we call a traditional for loop because it comes from the C++, right? So let's get rid of this and go ahead and check out the for each loop. So this for each loop is the loop that you're going to be using most in the Golang because it's the most idiomatic way to iterate in Golang. So the simple construct is we write for, and after that we write the index, the name of the variable that we want index to be, and then we write the name of the actual variable. So uh, so, so it can so this name belongs to the element inside the array. So our array actually consists of numbers, so I'm just gonna go ahead and call this number, and then we loop over the range of the array, right? So remember the keyword. The first keyword that you need to remember is for, the second keyword is range, and then we pass in the array, right? And everything goes inside again curly braces. Yeah, cool. So let's do the same exercise here. I'm gonna do an if number is greater than largest number, right? Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and open my new number at a particular index, and we're going to change the value to largest number, right? And again, I'm just gonna print the my new numbers array. So what is going to happen here? We are checking that if the number, if the current number, which is at index, right, is greater than the largest number, which is 7, then we're going to change the value of the number at index, this particular index, whichever this index is in the loop, right? And we're going to set the largest number as the value of this. Yeah. So again, simple, just a for index comma element in the range of your array, right? Let's go ahead and quickly run this as well. Go build. Oops. So as you see, similar result like we had before. So similar result because they're basically the same code written in a different way, right? And yet again, we're going to try and write it in a different way. So before we go ahead and check out the infinity loop, I want to take a look at while loop, because we're going to do the same thing that we did in the previous two loops with the while loop as well. So I'm gonna write for, yeah, everything, every loop is a for loop, right? Let's define the construct first, right? Like how to do this thing. So initialization goes up here, then we have a for, then we have a condition, then we do something, and after that we do like the increment or the post loop evaluation goes in here, right? So I'm again gonna do a very simple initialization. I'm just gonna go ahead and call I equals to 2, and the increment is also going to be a very simple one. Just I plus plus, or you can write I plus 1, or it doesn't matter, right? So I'm just gonna write I plus plus here. And the condition again the same that we had in the traditional for loop. I'm just gonna go ahead and check if I is less than length of my new numbers, right? So again, I'm just checking in if I is less than the length of this array. So if it's less than the length of this array, it's gonna go inside and it's gonna try and do whatever we have here, right? So yeah, so let's do the same thing again. If my new numbers I, which is if the number at I index is greater than the largest number, I just want my new numbers I to become largest number, right? So I guess you can already guess what's gonna happen. It's gonna return us the same array. Oh, taking time. Yeah, there it is. So exactly the same thing. So we actually went ahead and learned different ways to do the same thing. So one question may arise, like during like when should you use what kind of loop? So should you use a traditional for loop or a for each loop or a while loop? So the answer, there is no correct answer to this question. But I would say that sometimes it depends on the situation. Sometimes it is just how your company writes the code, or how your what convention you're following. most of the time you're going to be using the for each loop of Golang, which is for index comma element in the range of the array. The reason is that that loop is very versatile. You can use it over a lot of things, and we'll in this video we'll go ahead and see in this fifth and sixth loop, it's actually just the for each loop looping through the map and string, right? So try to use for the second one, the one we looked before this, the for each loop in most of the cases. Otherwise, just use whichever one suits your use case the best. There's no correct answer to which loop to use, right? So let's quickly take a look at infinity loop. Again, it's just a for loop, except it doesn't have any condition, like it never stops. So I'll just go ahead and write I can't stop, right? So let's check it out. Oh, what happened? Oh yeah, I should get rid of these, should get rid of this. Okay. Let's try something. So I'm gonna go ahead and print I can't be touched here, right? So what does it say? It says unreachable code. Let's see if it builds this. Yeah, obviously it does, right? So let's go ahead and run this code. So you can see it keeps on printing I can't stop because there are literally no conditions for it to stop. Yeah, so it keeps on printing this, print. I can just do a control C to stop it, and I'll just hide it back. So a good question is like, how do you break out of a loop, right? So you just write break and you break out of loop. So in this case, it's an infinity loop, but what's going to happen is that it's just going to print this. It's going to come down on line number 19 and it will see, oh, it's a break. So it will just quickly jump out of the loop. Let's open back the terminal again. Don't run this. Go build and run this. So what happened here? Basically, it went ahead and printed this. And it was on its way to do a infinity loop, but it found a break, so it came out of it, right? So you can break any kind of loop using break statement. This break statement usually goes inside some kind of flag. For example, let's define a flag here, a flag, and I'll keep it false, right? So if flag, we want to break, not brand message. What the hell is brand message? Go ahead. Cool. So right, so what will happen here is that it'll just check the flag, and if the flag is true, it'll break, and otherwise it'll just keep doing the infinity loop. So again, you can use break in any kind of loop. You don't necessarily have to use it in a infinity loop. You can use it in any kind of for loop, right? So let's move ahead and take a quick look at string loop and map loop. So basically, string and map loops are the same. I mean, all of them are same. They are just for each loop. So let's go ahead and quickly check it out. So I'm just gonna go ahead and create a new string. I'll call it my string, and I'll name it hello sudo sensei. Cool. So I want to loop through the characters one by one. So I'm just gonna do a for I for index, C for character, and I'm gonna range it over my string, right? Okay. So let's do a fmt dot println, and I want to print the index first, so I'm just gonna do an I, and oh, why do I have it in quotes? No, don't have it in quotes. And I'll make an arrow and I'll point it to whatever the character here, right? So that's C. Cool. So let's see what happens. Go build dot loops. Right, so you're seeing there we have the index here, and you're seeing so what you're seeing here is called the ASCII code. If you've been programming for a while, you probably know about it already, right? So if you don't know, just search ASCII codes for text and you'll find it. So this is basically the numerical representation of the character. So we don't want that. We want the actual character back, right? So all we have to do is we have to wrap this C in a string. So I'm just gonna write here string, pass the C in parentheses, right? So this should do it. I'm gonna build it again and call it again. So as you can see, we have H on 0th index, E on 1 index, and so on and so forth. So you can also, omit this and just clear it up. You can do this again. This time you won't get any index because we replaced I with an underscore. So what that initially essentially means is that we don't want to use the index, so we're just going to ignore it. You can also go ahead and ignore the element. If you do this, you can surely do this, but it has no meaning. So let's go ahead and do a index in the range of my string. So as you can see, I have got rid of the element actually, but I still have the index. So I can go ahead and check whatever it is on the index. Not sure if this actually works with the arrays. Let's see if it works with the string. It should work. Basically a string is just an array of characters. So let's go ahead and build this. Yep, as you can see, we got back the ASCII values, and I can easily convert this into character. There you go. So what did we do here? We essentially removed the next variable from here, which was the element, and we just used index to print the array, which is a string in this case, right? Cool. So let's move forward to the map loop. So a map loop is basically, again, just a for each loop. I'm just going to go ahead and create a quick map here. My new map. What should so I was just playing around with it, so I figured let's just create into string map, and we're going to do a little DC Justice League roundup. So I'm just gonna do a Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, and I'm gonna miss someone here. So let's it's not necessary for it to be serialized like this, because it's a map. You can have any number here, so I'm just gonna miss the fourth one, and I assume the fourth one is the Martian Manhunter, so this is gonna be Flash. Yeah, cool. So let's go ahead and do a for loop for key comma element in the range my new map. We're going to do something here. So again, index comma element, key comma element, whatever you want to call it, it's just the nomenclature for different kind of data structures. It really doesn't matter what you call it, like index comma character, index comma element, key comma element. Golang does not differentiate, right? So let's go ahead and do a print ln. Let's call it number. So it's gonna put a space automatically, so I'm leaving it out. So number, for example, number 1, and we want a colon. There you go, and leave a space. Don't leave a space. And let's say element, right? So I assume you have already guessed what it's gonna print. Let's go ahead and build it and do a loops. So as you can see, it's number 1 Superman, number 2 Batman, number 3 Wonder Woman, number 5 Flash, and number 4 is missing. We don't know who number 4 is, but yeah. So that was the complete list of loops you can have in Go. So you can also use the for each loop without the element for channels. That would be a bit more advanced. I decided against covering that in this video. So I'll definitely cover the loop for the channel in some future video, but definitely it deserves a video of its own, right? Cool. So I'll see you in the next video. Hope you learned something from this, and go ahead and use this knowledge of loops in your code. Yeah, see ya.